Good evening. Welcome to the 2024 Northwestern Athletic Hall of Fame induction ceremony. I'm Michael Horstman, Northwestern High School's Director of Athletics. It brings me immense pleasure to have each of you here to share a special evening. A warm welcome extends to our valued alumni, distinguished Hall of Fame inductees, and dedicated coaches gathered for this wonderful evening. Founded in 1948 through the consolidation of Howard County and Irving schools, Clay and Irving schools, Northwestern High School was evolved over the past 76 years. Today we proudly offer a comprehensive athletic program featuring 20 varsity sports and 31 developmental level teams spanning 5th grade through JV. As an active member of the Indiana High School Athletics Association, Hoosier Conference, and beginning in the fall of 2024, the Three Rivers Conference, we continue to grow and thrive. Throughout our rich history, numerous talented coaches, athletes, and contributors have graced our halls. Tonight, we come together to pay tribute to those who left an indelible mark, made significant impact, and paved the way for others to follow. It's an evening of recognition and honor and enduring legacy that they've built within the Northwestern athletic community. I would like to share the purpose of outlined in our Constitution of the Hall of Fame. The Northwestern Athletic Hall of Fame will be organized as a way to maintain the heritage, tradition of successful athletic programs at Northwestern High School. In addition, we will serve as a means of recognition, preserving, honoring the athletes, coaches, and individuals who made significant contributions to the athletic programs. Many individuals have been influential in the Tiger tradition of excellence and had exemplary accomplishments of athletic fields in support of our Northwestern athletic programs. The Northwestern Hall of Fame honors the contributions and accomplishments of these individuals who are worthy of recognition as examples to others to emulate. Right now, if we could please rise and face the flag as our national anthem is performed by Northwestern student Katie Bonds. Katie recently won the title of 2024 Distinguished Young Woman of Indiana. She will represent Indiana in June at the national contest in Mobile, Alabama. Thank you, Katie.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Thank you, Katie. The Northwestern High School Hall of Fame Committee would like to welcome back some members of the Northwestern Hall of Fame. If you could please stand when I call your name. With us tonight, 2014 Charter Wing member Gary Mumaw. 2016 Contributor Wing member Barb Hansen. 2017 Contributor Wing member Stan Reibel and Marsha Miller. 2018 class Coaches Wing member Jeff Hoover. 2018 class, contributor wing members Fritz and Jeannie Miller. 2021 contributor wing member Jeff McKinley. 2022 class contributor wing member Charity Armstrong. And 2023 athlete wing member Randy Crow. If I could have the following stand as well, we'd like to welcome Carl and Cindy Graber, or Candy Graber, parents and athlete wing's namesake Brett Graber. Carl and Candy have been part of the Hall of Fame since its inception, and we thank you for your continued support. High school principal Tim Schoaf, Northwestern Superintendent Kristen Bilkey, our student athlete leadership team, Hannah Moore, Natalie Weber, Andrew Lesko, Blake Wise, Mia Schoaf, Berkeley Ray, Addie Robinson, Cameron Davis, and Samuel Martin. Thank you. We'd also like to acknowledge those people that helped make night happen. Our athletic secretary, Christina Kidwell, our custodial staff helping set up, our booster club, which continued the partnership in this Hall of Fame, and Windmill Grill Restaurant for their efforts in preparing our great meal tonight. And all of you here tonight that have come to be part of this evening and honor the tradition of Northwestern Tiger Athletics. Lastly, I would also like to take just a moment to thank and introduce the 2024 Northwestern Hall of Fame Committee. Please stand when I call your name. Chair, Dan Armstrong. Community members, Stan Reibel, Jody Pippinger. Students, Hannah Moore and Natalie Weber. Former head coaches, Todd Miller, Pete Schreier. And current head coaches, Ryan Ward, Danita Walters, and Alex Peer. Thank you. At this time, I'd like to call Northwestern School Board member Jonathan Eller to come forward and lead us in our invocation.
Please bow with me. Heavenly Father, we thank you for this opportunity we have to gather to celebrate the accomplishments of Jason and Dan and Kathie. We just thank you for the talents and the gifts that you've given them as they have succeeded in their different capacities. We just pray that this food and fellowship will be a blessing to you, and that we pray a continued blessing as well in all of our students and staff as they finish out the school year. We thank you for this time, and we as we near the Easter season, we just thank you for the hope and the peace that you provide. We ask these things in Jesus' name. Amen.
Thank you. At this time, we will begin our meal. We'll dismiss by rows. We'll start up here at this front four tables. Go the food line. You can hit both sides. Enjoy your meal, and let's get started. We'll go ahead and get started. At this time, I would like to introduce former Northwestern head coach and longtime committee member of Northwestern Athletic Hall of Fame, Todd Miller, to serve as tonight's Hall of Fame induction MC.
Good evening. Thank you. It's an honor to be filling in for Dan tonight. It's also an honor, as it is every year, to be around amazing athletes, coaches, and contributors to Northwestern Athletics. We'd like to give you a little bit more background about the Athletic Hall of Fame. We have three wings. We have the athlete wing, the coaches wing, and the contributors wing. Each wing inductee will receive an award that is named after individuals who have made significant contributions, have had major accomplishments, have the values, leadership, and goals that Northwestern Athletics and Northwestern High School stand for. These individuals are worthy of recognition as examples for others to emulate. They will be recognized each year when their awards are given to worthy inductees as they enter the Northwestern Athletic Hall of Fame. Their biographies will be at the top of each wing's award wall in the Hall of Fame. And if you haven't checked out the Hall of Fame award area, it's right out there in the vestibule out there. Our first wing, the Brent Graber Brian Hemmerly Athlete Award of Excellence. Brent Graber was an athlete at Northwestern from 1993 to 1997. Brent led by his example and few words for teammates and classmates. He loved to learn and play, approaching academics and sports with great enthusiasm, persistence, and integrity. He competed with intensity and keenness under pressure. He loved to win and hated to lose. Brent finished his high school career with 6 varsity letters and was academic all-state in football and baseball. Brent loved playing baseball and football, especially with his high school teammates, telling his father high school football was the best. He encouraged others to be successful in academics and sports. In Brent's senior year at Northwestern in 1996 to 97, the football team averaged over 50 points per game. The football coach said, "I want the ball in Brent's hands as much as possible during the games because he seems to thrive on the pressure." Brent's 33 stolen bases and 42 runs scored in 26 baseball games in his senior year were quite remarkable. NHS baseball coach Dan Armstrong said teasingly, "I think Brent hits singles so he can steal second base." Coach Jim Gish said, "I love coaching Brent because he works so hard and is so respectful of coaches and other players." Brent graduated near the top of his NHS class and received a leadership scholarship to attend Wabash College. He lettered in all 4 years of football at Wabash as a kickoff returner and receiver. While graduating with honors, summa cum laude in economics, Brent did sport climbing in the mountains of Colorado and Thailand with his brother Darren, also an NHS grad in 2001. He became an expert snow skier, backcountry and downhill. He was an avid backpacker and enjoyed mountain biking in the Rocky Mountains in Utah. He died much too young in 2009 while looking out for the safety of 2 co-cyclists. Brent's epitaph is written by his brother Darren Graber. "Followed his joyful curiosity, let loose the warmth of his heart, and befriended all with his loving spirit." All athletes inducted into the athlete wing of the Northwestern Athletic Hall of Fame will receive the Brent Graber Brian Hemmerly Award of Excellence. Brian Hemmerly was an athlete at Northwestern High School from 1993 to 1997. Brian participated in soccer, wrestling, and baseball all 12 seasons of athletics during his high school career. Brian had a love for athletics and a burning desire to work hard and to win. Brian had an infectious smile that made you feel good about any situation, and he drove his teammates to be positive and to work harder than expected. He loved to win and hated to lose. Brian was awarded the Eye of the Tiger Award for participating in 12 seasons of athletics and Blanket Award for 10 varsity letters. Brian was a part of 2 team sectional championships in soccer in 95 and 96. The 96 Tiger soccer team won the first ever boys soccer Mid-Indiana Conference Championship, setting the expectation for how Tiger soccer teams still play today. Brian was a 1997 male recipient of the Robert K. Downey Memorial Scholar Athlete Award, which is one of the most prestigious awards given at Northwestern High School. After graduation from Northwestern in 1997, Brian went on to Purdue and graduated in 2001 from the Krannert School of Management with a degree in industrial management. Brian went to work for GE from 2001 to 2003, and then in 2003 to 06 worked in Chicago as a financial analyst. In 2006, Brian became an entrepreneur working in real estate and owning a restaurant. He was suddenly taken away from us at the age of 28 in 2007. Brian was a true inspirational leader who worked to set standards for those after him to follow. His work ethic was second to none. Brian worked hard and had a burning desire to win even when he was staring in the face of doubt from teammates. He had led teams even as a sophomore. Brian was a standard setter and had tremendous communication skills. Brian Hemmerly was one of a kind leader with a work ethic second to none. If he was knocked down, he got up and worked harder. He helped create the winning standard and championship mentality in baseball at Northwestern that continues still to this day. He worked because it was what was asked of him. He believed because it was what you should do. He was a winner because he was just a good, quality person. He is a player you never forget. Those words from Dan Armstrong, former head baseball coach and former athletic director at Northwestern High School. Again, all athletes inducted into the athlete wing of the Northwestern Athletic Hall of Fame will receive the Brent Graber Brian Hemmerly Award of Excellence. Next is our coaches' wings, named after Gerald Hood. Gerald served Northwestern High School as a math teacher and coach for over 30 years. Gerald served Northwestern High School with a servant's heart and had a true love for teaching and coaching Northwestern students. He served as boys varsity track coach from 1973 to 75 and boys basketball coach from 1976 to 78, compiling a 24-18 career record as a varsity basketball coach. He came back to coach junior varsity and middle school basketball for several years after leaving the head coaching position. He was beloved by those who called him a colleague and liked by those who had the opportunity to be in his classroom or on his team. Gerald Hood was one of the unsung heroes of the coaching world. For most of his career, he spent the hours, days, weeks, and the years working as assistant coach in the background of that limelight. No matter if he was the assistant or the head coach, he was teaching those around him. Those who knew him learned from him. He commanded respect by his professionalism, demeanor, and work ethic. He was and will always be a great person. He was and always will be a man they called teacher. All coaches inducted into the Coaches Wing of the Northwestern Athletic Hall of Fame will receive the Gerald Hood Coaches Award of Excellence. And our final wing, the Gerald Sullivan Contributor Wing. Gerald was a special individual who drove a bus for Northwestern School Corporation, who greeted every student every day with a smile and cared about each one of them as they cared for him. Gerald drove a bus for athletic events for nearly 30 years. He was the first athletic bus driver in our school's history to be awarded a state championship ring for his service to our varsity basketball team in its state basketball championship run in 2006-07. Gerald also drove for the 1992 state runner-up football team and served as a team driver for varsity football and varsity basketball for many years. Each team that he drove for, he got to know personally, and the athletes cared for him and considered him one of the team. Gerald was a huge Northwestern fan and a constant Northwestern supporter in all aspects of athletics and academics. Gerald Sullivan, in his 30-year bus driving career, touched thousands of lives, and he was such a humble man. When you had a one-on-one conversation with Gerald, his focus was on you. Gerald was a kind, giving, and had a servant's heart. All contributors inducted into the Contributor Wing of the Northwestern Athletic Hall of Fame will receive the Gerald Sullivan Contributor Award of Excellence. Again, we wanted to share a little bit of background to learn a little bit about these great people and why these awards are named after them. Now it's time for the 2024 Northwestern Hall of Fame inductees. First, our Brent Graber Brian Hemmerly Athlete Wing Award of Excellence is Jason Hochstedler. Jason was a two-sport athlete at Northwestern High School from 1993 to 97. He participated in cross country and track and field for all 4 years of high school. In cross country, Jason held and still currently holds the current school records for both the 3,000 meter and 5,000 meter races. In Jason's junior year in 95, he qualified for the IHSA cross country state, placing 22nd in the state. In his senior year of 96, he was named team captain and lived up to that leadership role. Jason was the cross-country Mid-Indiana Conference champion, IHSA sectional champion, regional champion, and once again qualified for the state cross-country meet. At the 96 state meet, Jason placed fourth. That fourth place finish is the highest by any male or female Northwestern cross-country athlete in school's history. Jason was named Indiana Association of Track and Cross Country All-State in 1996. He was named the IATCC Runner of the Year in 1996, as well as being named an Indiana All-Star in 96. Jason would also go on to represent Northwestern High School and the state of Indiana in the Midwest Meet of Champions that year. Jason was also highly successful in the spring track and field season. In 1996, Jason was a sectional champion in the 3,200 meter run and qualified for the state track and field championships, where he finished 11th in the state. In his senior season in 97, Jason was again sectional champion in the 3,200 meter relay and once again qualified for the IHSA track and field state championships in the 3,200 meter run, finishing 21st in the state. Ladies and gentlemen, Jason Hochstedler.
Well, hello, everybody. Thank you so much for that kind little summary. It's kind of funny because the slide ladies over here were sitting at my table during dinner, and I thought, I don't think I want to challenge her to a 5K race anymore. I'm pretty sure she could probably beat me these days. So that was interesting. I want to thank the Northwestern family first and foremost. I also want to thank Jesus Christ, my personal Savior, who gave me the talent and the skills to do this. It's very important. I wouldn't have accomplished what I accomplished without my teammates, without good classmates such as Brent Graber and Brian Himmerly and David Rudy, and just some of those guys that pushed me to be the absolute best I could possibly be. They were always on my tail. They were always trying to get at me. They got at me several times in many ways, and it just pushed me to be a better person and a better athlete. So it's really awesome to think about. It's kind of funny because me and my wife just moved back to Kokomo from being away for a long time. We are actually only in town for, I think, 2 weeks before Dan reached out to me, said he was having trouble finding me. So it was a little odd, but in preparing for this evening, actually last week, I think the greatest memory that I can remember, because I was trying to go through and just remember all the memories, and I think probably the greatest memory that I cherished the most was Coach Schreier yelled at me a lot. I don't know where I rank in terms of challenging athletes for him. I didn't have a tendency to get behind the back diamonds, baseball diamonds, and kind of slack off in practice. I would back off a little bit. Normally, by the time I got around to the softball diamond, Mr. Schreier would be yelling at me from the parking lot, "Hochstedler, quit slacking," and I'd have to pick up the pace. So that was my challenge memory. The other day, I was actually up by Missinawal River, or Reservoir, and I found myself in the back area where we used to have cross-country camp, which is just another awesome memory. A week-long cross-country camp, running through the Francis Slocum trails, and just all those kind of things that, like, we would set up tents and just have a really awesome time. And it was just, those are some amazing memories of my time spent here at Northwestern. Northwestern is definitely a community, more so than I could possibly imagine. Being away for as long as I was, I didn't realize just how much Northwestern and Kokomo is a community and how close we are and remember each other. It's amazing seeing the people here that I've seen. Gary Muma, some credit to him for kind of doing a little bit of training and teaching of me when I was younger in the summer months. Obviously, whatever he said to me, I took to heart and tried to do. Gary taught me about speed play exercises, which was probably hands down the greatest thing that could have been taught to me in terms of maintaining a fast rate of speed for a longer distance. So credit goes to Gary for that one. Obviously, I see some other individuals that are just absolutely amazing, and I love Brent Graber's parents. Your son was an absolutely amazing individual. I loved going to school with him. Just absolutely awesome. Obviously, I want to thank some people too. My parents, who flew up here from Florida. I called them on a short notice. The tickets were going to be expensive, but they really wanted to come here and see this, so I appreciate my parents. I was laughing this morning with my mom at breakfast, and I said to her, I still don't understand how my mother did it, but even at her, when I would run home races, and I think I'm pointing in the right direction, I'd run home races, and I could start on the one side of the field, and my mother, by the time I come around, would literally be across the field over by the football field. Like, she would run, sprint to get to me on the other side just so she could pump me up, just so she could yell, "Come on, you can do it." And then I'd come back around and she'd be back on the other side. I still don't understand how she pulled that off every time, but she was probably my greatest cheerleader. So I love you. Man, there's just so many people to thank. I'm trying to make sure I don't miss everybody. Obviously, Pete Schreier, I owe it to him. Jonathan, I saw you, man. That was just great. Another great person who I got to run with and got to experience high school with. So I don't know that I have a lot more to say, because this whole thing kind of just caught me off guard when Dan reached out to me. But I'm just extremely thankful. I take this with a lot of respect, a lot of honor, a lot of grace. And I appreciate Northwestern and all you guys here, the whole family, for voting and for inducting me into this Hall of Fame. I take it with a high level of seriousness. And my promise to each and every one of you in this room is that I will carry this forward with respect and honor. So I appreciate each and every one of you, and I hope sometime soon some Northwestern student beats my records, because they've been around for too long. So, thank you.
Thank you, Jason. Obviously getting inducted for his athletic abilities, but you can also tell how humble he is. I hope he doesn't mind me sharing this quick story. You might have caught it in his speech that I pronounced his name one way and he pronounced it a different way. And I asked him beforehand, I want to make sure I get this right. And he said, Hochstedler. And I was like, okay. And then he's like, well, my dad and I kind of argue about this. My dad says Hochstedler. And he's like, you better say Hochstedler. So again, you can tell what a great guy is. So he would have heard about it in a car ride, he said. So thank you again. Our next inductee is being honored in the Gerald Hood Coaches Wing Award of Excellence, Kathie Layden. Kathie Layden served Northwestern High School as a head coach in girls basketball, volleyball, and girls tennis. As head girls basketball coach from 2012 to 2023, Kathie had 200 wins and 65 losses. For her career at Tri-Central, Western, and Northwestern, she coached 23 seasons and has 385 wins and 165 losses. Kathie amassed 67 more wins at Northwestern than any other coach in history as a girls basketball coach, which includes me and Mr. Hoover back there. So. Sorry, Coach. Northwestern girls basketball, with Coach Layden coaching, won 3 Hoosier Conference championships, 2018, 19, and 20, 5 sectional championships, 17, 18, 19, 20, and 22, 3 regional championships, 18, 19, and 20, 3 semi-state championships, 18, 19, and 20, and 2 state championships, 3A in 2018 and 19, and was also a state runner-up in 2020 in 4A. And if you're not aware, Indiana has a success factor. Since they won state for 2 straight years, they got moved up to 4A that next year and made it all the way to the state championship game. Kathie coached 3 Indiana All-Stars at Northwestern, which are the only 3 female Indiana All-Stars in Northwestern history. Kathie's daughter, Madison, was named the Gatorade Player of the Year for Indiana in 2020. 2 Lady Tiger basketball players earned IHSA Mental Attitude Awards in 2018 and 19 at the state finals. Kathie developed and sent multiple players to play successfully at NCAA Division I, Division III, and NAIA levels. As Northwestern head volleyball coach from 2019 to 2023, Kathie had 94 wins and 23 losses. Northwestern volleyball won a Hoosier Conference championship in 2019 and 2 sectional championships in 2019 and 21. As Northwestern girls tennis coach from 2016 to 23, the Tigers won a Hoosier Conference championship in 2022 and won an astounding 7 consecutive sectional championships 2016 to 23. The 2020 season was canceled due to the COVID pandemic, and 7 consecutive undefeated seasons. Dave, is that right? 7 consecutive undefeated seasons as well. As a Northwestern coach, Kathie Layden won 5 Hoosier Conference championships, 14 sectional titles, 3 regional titles, 3 semi-state titles, 2 state championships, and was a state runner-up. Kathie can easily be argued to be the most successful coach in Northwestern history. Kathie was and continues to serve Northwestern as a teacher administrator. Kathie is married to Jeff Layden, former Northwestern teacher, now coach and now administrator, or former coach and now administrator, and they have 2 daughters, Madison and McKenna. Unfortunately, as you might have figured out, Kathie is unable to be with us tonight. As you probably know, her daughters that I just mentioned, Madison and McKenna, both play college basketball for Purdue. Purdue's been participating in the Big Ten tournament, which is in Minneapolis, Minnesota. On her behalf, to accept this award tonight is her father and assistant coach, Dave Wise. Dave, it's all yours.
Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate it.
If you know Dave, he is a man of few words. So Kathie is not, and she's going to speak on video, so the girls are going to cue up that video for you.
First and foremost, I would certainly like to thank the committee and Dan Armstrong for selecting me for this honor. Anytime you're recognized for something like this, however, I feel like this is not just an award for me. This is something that should be shared with all of the teammates, all of the coaches, the managers, statisticians, everybody that is involved in building the success of a program. This is a type of honor that is really recognized by all of us. For myself, sports has always been something that has been really important to our family. And, you know, when I think back to growing up, whether it was playing baseball in the backyard or basketball in the driveway with my brother, most of our family vacations consisted of tennis matches with me and my dad playing against my mom and my brother. So it's just always something that we've done for fun. And, you know, even watching sports on TV is something that we've always done. And ironically, IU basketball was also something that we never missed a game on television. I was given the opportunity to start coaching years ago at Tri-Central, right after I graduated from college. Ironically, I was really willing to coach anything just because that was how you got a teaching job at the time, just to be involved. And so I was coaching volleyball, basketball, and track at Tri-Central. And fortunately, we were very successful at Tri-Central, winning 3 state championships. And it was also special because I had my brother and my dad alongside coaching with me there as well. So when the Northwestern job opened up, I was not necessarily looking for another coaching job at the time. To be honest, I was just enjoying being a mom to a first grader and a fourth grader. But I had a few people that were reaching out to me, you know, telling me about this job at Northwestern, and you know, it was definitely intriguing, and I knew I did want to coach again, and you know, being able to coach at Northwestern, you know, my brother and their family were already here at the school. And I knew what kind of a program that I was coming into because of the success that this program had already had. And so it really was an obvious choice to come to Northwestern, and it's been a tremendous move for our family to come here and have the kind of success. And Northwestern has been really, really good, and the community has been really good to our family. So I've obviously had the opportunity to coach some amazing young women here, and to have the type of success that we've had in volleyball, basketball, and tennis over the years doesn't happen without all the time and commitment that not only all those players but their parents put into just having a common goal. And I never felt like when I was coaching that it was about individual success, and I think that's something else that stands out when you look at the success that we had. We had it because we were a team, and everybody had a role, and everybody embraced their roles, and with just winning and wanting to have success for Northwestern as a program. When I'm asked about what are your favorite memories of coaching and the best part about coaching, the obvious answer would be to say the 2 state championships, or even the Hall of Fame win, the undefeated 2020 season that had just some tremendous competition and wins. But truly, when I think back to the best memories, they were at practice, and they were just being with the girls. They were the bus rides, especially when I think anybody that was on the bus back from Kentucky for the Hoops for Harvest, hearing their laughter and the stories, and just being a team and seeing them enjoying being around each other. The trips to Happy Burger, I think that's what stands out to me as a coach. As I mentioned earlier, I really, truly can't thank the coaches that have been a part of these programs enough, because again, they don't always get the recognition as assistant coaches that they deserve. And especially, I want to just mention Sean Russell, because the amount of work that he put into our program over the last few years, and he's still coaching, and I really want him to know how much I've appreciated all he's done for our program over the years. Then from there, I certainly have to thank my family, and obviously this is also coaches, but my husband has been coaching with me for a number of years, and it's not always easy to coach with your spouse, but I feel like the amount of time that we've put into coaching over the years, and it has been a fun ride, and he's always been by my side, and he's always been one of my number one supporters, obviously, as a coach, and I've always appreciated everything that he has done for me. I also want to thank Madison and McKenna. They have put in a lot of time into sports. And fortunately, they've been really good at sports. And so a lot of our success has come to the hours that they have dedicated into the gym since they were born. I also would like to thank my parents. My mom is my number one fan and has always been at all the games. And my dad is, I would say, the reason that I probably got into coaching. And I think has always been that calming presence, and I've always been so appreciative of everything that he has done for me as a coach, but also for all the girls that he's coached over the years as well. So as sad as I am to not be able to be there tonight to accept this award, I am glad that my dad is there to accept this award on our behalf, because if there is a coach in Howard County that deserves to be in a Hall of Fame, it's my dad. So thank you to everybody that is here tonight, and thank you to my dad for being there and accepting this award for us.
And Kathie's family is here. You saw Dave, her dad that she spoke of. Her brother Mike is here, nephew Blake, and then she mentioned Sean Russell, and he and his wife are here as well. So Our last inductee of the evening for the Gerald Sullivan Contributor Wing is Daniel Armstrong. Dan Armstrong served Northwestern High School for 34 years as high school social studies teacher from 1988 to 06, assistant coach in 3 sports, football 4 years, basketball 11 years, and baseball for 4 years. He was the head baseball coach from 1994 to 2000 and athletic administrator from 2006 to 22. As varsity assistant basketball coach, he was part of a coaching staff that helped lead the Tiger boys basketball team to the school's first ever regional basketball championship in 1998. And they were an injury away from making it to state that year, if you guys recall that one. As head baseball coach, Dan's teams compiled a 77-90 record in 6 seasons. He, along with his coaching staff, rebuilt the natural grass baseball facility at Northwestern during his 6 years as head coach. During his 16 years as Northwestern's athletic administrator, Northwestern athletic teams won 42 conference championships, 39 sectional championships, 5 regional championships, 4 semi-state championships, 3 state championships in 07, 18, and 19 for basketball, an individual state championship in gymnastics in 2021, and state runners-up in basketball in 2020. Dan, as the athletic administrator, created the Northwestern Athletic Hall of Fame Constitution in 2013 and has served as Hall of Fame committee chair since its creation. He also created, along with student leaders, the Northwestern Student Athlete Leadership Team, bylaws and team in 2014, and that's all the people that we introduced earlier. Dan helped lead the transition of Northwestern from the Mid-Indiana Conference to the Hoosier Conference in 2015. He was the lead coordinator in the construction of Northwestern's outdoor turf football/soccer field, baseball/soccer field, and softball field from 2015 to 17. Dan hosted over 90 IHSA tournament contests at Northwestern over the 16 years he served as athletic administrator. He served as the Hoosier Conference Boys and Girls Soccer Tournament host from 2015 to 22. Dan served both the Mid-Indiana Conference and Hoosier Conference as athletic director president. He was awarded the Northwestern Teacher of the Year Award in 2003 and Northwestern's Top Tiger Award in 2021. Dan was and is involved in the Indiana Interscholastic Athletic Administrators Association and the National Interscholastic Athletic Administrators Association during his tenure as Northwestern Athletic Director and since retiring. Dan served at IIAAA as a membership director, junior director, and director of District 2. He served as IIAAA's second vice president, president from 2019-21 as the only 2-year president in the 55-year history of the IIAAA, and 3 years as past president. He also served as the IIAAA Professional Development Coordinator since 2014. He has served as a state instructor for leadership training courses since 2010 and serves the NIAAA as a member of the National Teaching Faculty Course Chair for Legal Issues in Athletic Department Handbooks. Dan served as the author team co-chair for IIAA Leadership Training Course LTC 601, which is Athletic Department Handbooks. Some of us sat through some of those handbook meetings, didn't we? He's good at it, very good at it. Dan served as the author team co-chair for Athletic Department Handbooks. Dan also served as a member of the NIAAA Awards Committee. Due to his many years of service and leadership, professional development, and workshop speaker to the IIAAA and NIAAA, there's going to be a quiz over all these acronyms later, so be ready for that. No, I'm kidding. Dan has been awarded the NIAAA Bruce D. Whitehead Distinguished Service Award in 2020, the NIAAA Jim Teff Professional Development Achievement Award in 2021, the NIAA Section 4 Frank Kovaleski Award in 2023, and the IIAA Charles F. Moss Distinguished Service Award State Award in 2023. Dan has been married to Charity, who is a 2022 inductee to the Northwestern Athletic Hall of Fame Contributor Wing, for 34 years, and they have one son, Quinlan, who is a 2016 graduate of Northwestern. Before we do call Dan up to speak, we have a special tribute provided to us by Mr. Carl Graber, and I believe Mr. Graber's here tonight. I think there he is, right there. I will read what Carl wrote. You know what Dan's longtime passion for student academics and athletics as a coach and athletic director. Many of you may not know that Dan, along with his coaching staff, a few student athletes, volunteers, and staff, completely renovated the baseball field complex. Dan worked countless extra hours, days, weeks, and months to turn the baseball field into one of the best in the area. Dan and I are both passionate about student athletics and athletics. One time, in our younger years, we had a rather heated exchange regarding baseball. However, the most important outcome is that we reconciled and became great friends. The best example was in 2013. My wife and I had discussed our desire to do something significant at Northwestern High School to honor Brian Hemmerly and our son, Brent. Brian was president of their senior class, and Brent was vice president. Also, Brent usually hit leadoff on the baseball team, and Brian batted right behind him in that order. So I called Dan to share our wishes and our support. When Dan heard our request, he stated that I will never forget. I have been working on something special for these two young men for the past 6 months. I knew that was a God moment. Hence, the NHS Athletic Hall of Fame was established. Candy and I cannot express our appreciation enough. With deepest regard and gratitude, Carl Graver. And now, Dan Armstrong.
Good evening, Northwestern Athletic Hall of Fame. Usually I would have already been up here for an hour and a half, so I prepared a little speech. I've got it down to 2.5 hours. I hope you don't mind. I've got to get it out of me, people. I got another whole year to wait. I would like to start by introducing the most important people in my life who are here tonight to support me. First and foremost, my Hall of Fame wife, Charity. Our son, Quinlan, who is a 2016 graduate of Northwestern. His wife, Jenna. She's my favorite daughter-in-law. And my brother, Paul. Paul's much older than I am. I'm the young one. I would like to begin by saying a heartfelt thank you to the Northwestern community for accepting me as one of their own. Thank you for trusting and allowing me the opportunity of a lifetime to serve this great school for 34 years in several different capacities. Some of you may not know what those capacities are. First and foremost, I was a teacher, a coach, a sponsor of several different organizations, a groundskeeper, and the last of which was the one that I truly loved the most, and that was the role of athletic administrator. Before I go any further, I want to say I stand right here, right now, because of hundreds of people who helped me do this job as athletic administrator. To every custodian, maintenance person, bus driver, police officer, ticket taker, clock operator, scorekeeper, announcer, football chain gang member, track timer, pitch counter, secretary, official, athletic trainer, sponsor, youth coach, middle school coach, assistant coach, head coach, supervisors, assistant AD, and administrators. To the hundreds of people it took to do this job day after day, I'm forever indebted. Thank you very much. And if I had you all standing here, probably all of you would stand up in one way or the other. I walked on this campus on a hot day in July of 1988 for an interview with then Principal Ed Burkhalter and Department Chair Marty Zeiss for a social studies teaching position I felt the interview went well. I asked Mr. Burkholder, what's your timeline to make a decision on this? It was already July. You see, I needed a job. I had taught for Wabash City Schools the second semester of that year, and due to financial problems, which many schools faced at that time, they had done away with my teaching position. So back to Ohio I went, back to working in the Ansonia Lumber Company as a driver, but I wanted to teach and coach. I had really gotten a taste of teaching and coaching, and I liked it. Being a part of a basketball sectional championship as a coach for Manchester High School in 1988, I wanted to get back to coaching as well. Mr. Burkholder looked at me and said, well, it's likely going to be at least 2 weeks. I explained to him that I'd been offered a teaching job at Garrett High School, and I would have to take it if they were going to wait that long because I needed to teach. It was getting late in the summer, and I was getting a little nervous. I liked Mom and Dad, but I'd been away from them for a while, and living there, I was ready to go. I really liked Northwestern. It felt like home when I was here because, you see, I went to a small high school that sat at an intersection out in the country in the middle of corn and soybean fields, just like here. Northwestern felt like home. I was just a simple, hardworking farm boy. I left, I went home, and I called the Garrett principal and I told him I would take the job. The next morning at 8 o'clock, the phone rang, and it was Ed Burkholder. He said, we would like for you to come to Northwestern. And for whatever reason, even though I already had a job, I said yes. Now I had 2 jobs. I called the Garrett principal back. I told him I was going to back out and thanked him for the job offer, and the response I got for him I wasn't ready for because he literally cursed me out on the phone. I then called the Garrett football coach and I told him that I was not coming, and he said, don't worry about it. He said, you have to take care of number 1, nobody else is going to do that. I thought, well, that's a strange answer. I read 2 days later where he had left the school and took another job. I had made the right decision. I was in the right place. I firmly believe we end up right where we're supposed to be. Thus, I began my teaching and coaching career for Northwestern. I proceeded to lose 30 pounds that year. 6 teaching classes, 5 different preps, one of which was a brand new class called AP US History. They had no textbook when I got there. I had to create the class. I was an assistant coach for 3 sports. Senior class sponsor and in-club sponsor, which was a really big club then. I had not yet married Charity. As you can clearly see, with her cooking, I have put all those 30 pounds right back on me. Have I told you she's a really good cook? I thought after that first year, what have I gotten myself into? Looking back, I loved every single bit of it. I will stop there for a second. I'm going to say there's a lot of teachers coming out of college today, and they're told that when they student teach, they should not coach, they shouldn't do anything, and then when they get into the job, they don't do anything. That's wrong. And those who do a lot of coaching and teaching get a whole lot of different experience, and the kids need that. They have to have that. You see, what was happening was that I totally immersed myself in Northwestern. I was building relationships with different teachers, coaches, administrators, and had totally immersed myself in the community of people that's here. I had no idea that I was building a base that I would need when I became athletic director years later. As I coached, I, like so many, wanted to be a head boys basketball coach. That's all I wanted to be. I worked camps, served as middle school coach, then varsity assistant for more than a decade. Being the head boys basketball coach here or anywhere was not to be. The good Lord had other plans for me. Instead, I became head boys baseball coach here at Northwestern in the spring, started the coaching in the spring of 1995, which led me on a path I could never have dreamed of. First, the coaching staff I would put together would consist of 3 future superintendents: Tim Edsel, Al Ramaley, and Jamie Collane. My JV coach was none other than the legendary boys basketball coach here at Northwestern, Mr. Jim Gish, who's back there in the back. I want to welcome him. It's his first Hall of Fame banquet. It's about time, buddy. I also had in those early days Mr. Mike Brazel, who later became Northwestern head baseball coach and still serves our school as varsity assistant basketball coach and is a first-rate math teacher. They, the coaches, would all eventually move on from me because, as they will all quickly tell you, I worked them like borrowed mules. Broke their backs working on the field and forced them to coach outside in 6-degree wind chill. That's a true story. I'll tell another quick story right there. One day, because we didn't have what we have today, and we were outside and it was literally sleeting. And our catcher at the time, Austin Lovelace, looked at me and says, "Coach, come here." I said, "What's up, Austin? What's going on?" He goes, "What are we doing? What are we doing out here? What's going on?" We were covered white with snow. If you ever practice inside that gym right inside there with baseball, you'd go outside too. I don't care what the temperature was. It was deadly inside there. All right? So we didn't have the beautiful field house that we have now with the 4 baseball batting cages, or the amazing artificial field turf that we've got. I remind Coach Ward, you listening, Coach, that he is a kept man. Part of my legacy, I guess, is making the current coaches soft because all of the fantastic facilities we now have. Coach Ward, you're welcome. But you know, we sure did make that baseball field pretty. I can still smell the mixture of cut grass, red clay, which we call Mississippi red mud, and calcined clay that gets up in your nose. You don't forget that smell. I believe we taught a lot of players work ethic before we were done coaching. Hopefully we taught them about life, how to win, and some baseball as well. Once all those coaches had left me, they were replaced by Northwestern Hall of Fame baseball coach, Ryan Berryman. He's also the current head coach at Western, team across the creek. I was so fortunate to have all those amazing men who were shaping me as much as I had any part of shaping their lives or careers. All of these men would later impact my life and still are impacting my life to this day. We were all brought together for reasons. I'm so appreciative of my time with these great men. Second, I had the opportunity to coach so many outstanding young men. As Northwestern baseball coach, 2 of these young men batted leadoff and second in the lineup, and we read their bios a little bit ago, the namesakes of this Hall of Fame, and Brent Graber and Brian Hemmerly. And I had so many more kids. Some of them have already been inducted into this Hall of Fame. Those kinds of players leave a permanent imprint on you. They build you as much as you build them. The athletes you coach, no matter what the sport, mold you as much as you mold them. We all grow together. Our job as educators to make a difference in the lives of many people as we can. My hope is that someone will say, Dan Armstrong made a small contribution to my life. He cared enough to push me and demanded excellence. Whether I was coaching baseball, basketball, or football, the goal was to build quality young people. I tried always to be about the kids. You as a coach and teacher were serving those students. That's called servant leadership. After the 2000 season, I resigned my position as head baseball coach. I did so to start Sports Field Services company called Sports Field Services. I stayed on teaching at Northwestern, but worked for 6 years building a company that maintained school grounds, sports facilities, renovated sports fields, and did turf management commercially. Owning Sports Field Services was an amazing incubator of knowledge, experience, and growth for me. That knowledge that I gained would be used extensively in my next step of life, a step I never saw coming, the job of athletic administrator. In July of 2006, I was troubled. I was working all over the state, had a large business, but it was forcing me to miss out on my young son playing sports and many other things as well. It was killing me. You only get one chance at life, especially the life of your child. But God had me right where He wanted me. I just didn't know it. That summer, Northwestern had hired a new high school principal and assistant principal, two men I had worked with, coached with, and had the utmost respect for. Tim Edsel had returned to Northwestern to be principal, and Jeff Hoover was now Northwestern assistant principal. They became my brothers very quickly. The legendary and charter member of the Northwestern Athletic Hall of Fame, Mike Blackburn, had been Northwestern AD for 28 years until he retired in 2005. Some of you might remember that, to move on to the National Athletic Administrators Association. He was replaced by Northwestern graduate Tim Weeks. Tim left the position of AD and decided to return to teaching after the 2005-06 school year. His replacement was in the job less than a week before the decision was made by him to go back to his previous counseling job. That was late July of 2006. That day, Sports Field Services was working on the renovation of the Northwestern baseball field, infield turf. It was about 9 a.m. I was already covered in dirt head to toe because we were going to sod it that day. And I happened to be driving by the high school when the cell phone rang, and it was Tim Edsel calling me. You remember this, Tim? He said, "Where are you?" I said, "Right in front of the school." He said, "Stop in here and come into my office." I said, "Okay." I went to his office. He said, and I quote, "Have a donut." I said, "Okay." He said, "Have some orange juice." I said, "Are you about to fire me as a teacher, or what are we doing here?" He said, "No." I said, "Whew, what a relief." Then he said, "You ever thought about being athletic director?" I said, "It crossed my mind, and I almost applied for this job when Tim left." I said, "But why are you asking that question? You already have an athletic director." He said, as he pointed to a pile of pagers, phones, radios, whatever else the guy had, "No, I don't. He quit this morning." My life changed, my wife's life changed, and my son's life changed right there. I didn't know it, but I had been invited into a brand new world that my life to that point had trained me to be. What the next 16 years would be is really incredible. I would immediately be placed leading some of the most incredible people I could imagine, coaches I truly respected and cared for as people. My wife Charity came to the job as well. If you were paying attention, she's in the Northwestern Hall of Fame because of the number of roles that she played during my 16-year career as athletic director. She was simply incredible. A behind-the-scenes worker bee, and there was a reason she was put in the hall before I was. Simply put, she's been my partner every step of the way. I could not have done this without her. I am standing here because of her support at school, at home, and supporting the many leadership and teaching roles with the Indiana Interscholastic Athletic Administrators Association and the NIAAA. Charity is also really good that slapping sense right back into me when I'm going the wrong direction. I talked about servant leadership. I don't know of more of a servant leader than my wife. Charity, thank you from every part of me. I love you very much. Our son Quinlan, thankfully, was an athlete and a great student. We never had to tell him to practice or beg him to go to a game. He loved it from the beginning. He grew up here, learned to be a leader here. He was a multi-sport athlete, student, and a leader. It was Quinlan and a group of sports leaders his sophomore year, the end of his sophomore year, who inspired me to work with them to create the Northwestern Student Athlete Leadership Team, SALT. We have 9 or 8 of those kids here right now. They, the kids, wrote the Constitution bylaws that govern that leadership right now. I can still see them sitting in that, what became my office, was a room, and they sat there and built that. That led Q to be the only Northwestern athlete so far to be a member of the IHSA Student Advisory Committee. Quinlan's dedication to me to work at games, announcing, taking tickets, or whatever was needed after he finished practice or workouts, still maintaining fantastic grades, was a blessing. And whether he knows of this or not, I respect him greatly. Watching him play sports at all levels through college was among the greatest joys of my life. Thank you, Quinlan, for your support and for playing a role in this adventure. During my 16 years as AD, we had many championships at the conference, sectional, regional, semi-state, and state level. And it would have been very easy for me to stand up here tonight and spend my entire time talking about all those championships. I can't lie. The state championships were simply amazing. And I might say a learning experience that first year as AD and going to the state tournament. Blind, had no clue what I was doing. But we learned together, didn't we, Coach Gish? We also had some screaming matches at one another every once in a while. Quick story. We're going to, I think it was a semi-state meeting, and we were arguing over something stupid like who was getting the money from the t-shirt sales. And we were going at it. Jim was over here, I was driving, and we were going at it, and Tim's in the back seat going, fellas, fellas, fellas. It was awesome. You know, as I think back, you're thinking back, the journey was the fun. It was the fun. That was the fun part of it. Winning's great. It was great. But the growth of student athletes, the growth of coaches, watching students, athletes grow, watching coaches change as they age in the position, that journey is what it's all about. The growth is what it's all about. We are an education business. We can never forget that. To be successful as a team or an individual takes a lot of talent, but it also takes a lot of sacrifice from so many people. Kids just don't get there. They have to be pushed to get there. To be honest, I wouldn't change much about my career. I wouldn't change the hard times behind closed doors, letting a coach blow off steam, or working with the coach to build their program or solve problems. I wouldn't change having those hard conversations with a student athlete who had gone astray and who had to be brought back with discipline. It's part of the growth journey. I wouldn't change my belief that if you wanted someone else to do something, then you had to be willing to do it first. For it to work, you must get it all over you. I wouldn't change the long, stressful nights with a packed gym or a stadium because your teams and coaches were championship caliber. I wouldn't even change the years when the teams were not championship caliber and the crowds were light. It was part of being an athletic administrator. I wouldn't change being the last one to leave at midnight after a Friday night football or basketball game, or after hosting sectional baseball or track, while knowing you were coming back at 6 a.m. the next morning for a soccer tournament or whatever was going on. Do you know what it's like to be standing on a turf baseball field under the lights when no one's around except you? It's just peaceful and it's hard to explain. And then you look down and someone has thrown juicy fruit gum all over your beautiful turf. No more peaceful thoughts. I didn't worry about that stuff, did I, Coach Ward? I wouldn't change anything about my long talks with Coach Gish in the locker room after a win or a loss, when our wives were thinking, where in the world are they? That was special, something we had. I hope every coach felt they could appreciate me or approach me, talk to me, seek help, share a concern, build a program together. It was all part of the journey. I wouldn't change, and they're sitting together right now, which is kind of nice, hiring young head coaches that had a passion burning inside of them for their sport and for their athletes. Helping them grow into great coaches was part of the job. I wouldn't change the things that we did to do things a little bit differently here than other schools. I believe that we should do it the right way every time. It required more time spent, but we did it anyway. We set the example. We're in the education business. I wouldn't change the way we treated officials here at Northwestern. I had a firm belief that officials were a vital part of the contest and deserved a quality experience. My brother Paul, sitting right there, served as a high-level high school basketball official for 38 years. He taught me how to treat officials. You see, every time we had officials on the court, I saw my brother out there. I couldn't treat my brother poorly, could I? He treated me poorly when I was growing up, but that's another whole story. I wouldn't change the amazing facilities we built here for our students. Our students play on and in some of the best facilities in the country. I talk to ADs and go across this nation and see schools. We're pretty lucky. We're right here among the cornfields, and we've got the kind of facilities that we have. That's an incredible statement by our community that we want the best for our students. I wouldn't change this Athletic Hall of Fame we built. What an incredible thing for our athletic community to celebrate and emulate those who came before us. I simply ask that everyone in this room remember that education of students is the difficult thing to do. Whether that it's in a classroom or on a court or a field of play, it's hard. But if we don't do it, and do it well, we will pay a dear price. There are no shortcuts. To quote Jim Gish, if it's easy, it's wrong. I will close by saying, going into the Northwestern Hall of Fame is an absolute honor. I'm very proud of the things we accomplished and built here at Northwestern. I am thankful for the relationships we built with amazing people here, and that's all of you and many more. I'm glad God chose me to come to this special place. For some reason, I chose Northwestern, not Garrett. I hope I was able to make a difference. I hope you all will continue to make a difference. I love you all. Thank you.
First, I want to congratulate all of our inductees tonight. It's an honor to be inducted, and for those that don't know, Dan is also going into the NI AAA Hall of Fame in December, which is huge. That means he's made a mark not only in Indiana, but across the country. So congratulations on that. I would also like to thank all of you who attended tonight. Without you guys, this ceremony is not possible. With your support, with you being here, with you spreading the word, it allows this to happen. Next year, we'll do it again on March 7th, 2025. If you know somebody that is worthy of being inducted, please reach out to the athletic office. We will gather information and hopefully see them on the ballot. In front of you on your tables as well, there are contribution envelopes. If you feel led to contribute, please do so. Again, without your support, we can't pull this off and make this happen, so anything helps. If you feel led, please contribute. We have a box in the back that you can drop it in. You can take it home, send it back. But again, we appreciate everything the support that all of you provide. I would like to ask that all inductees and inductees' families stay and come forward and we take some group pictures. Again, thank you for this wonderful evening. Safe travels home. Thank you.